Namaste, Green Wave. It's Miss Amy, and today we're going to practice with a yoga story. And the goal is that you're going to get inspired through listening and doing the movements to this book called Zoo Zen by Kristen Fisher. And I encourage you to create your own yoga story that we can share with our youngest Green Wave yogis at all the early childhood learning centers for Morris Avenue, Lennox Conrail, and JMF. So you'll hear me read the story and the poses go along with the story. And then I want you to create your own yoga story that you can either make digitally and then record yourself so that we'll have a little video, again, to share with our youngest Green Wave yogis, or you can just make a video and tell the story through just your movement and your words. So it's a creative project that, again, we can build a Green Wave community of movement and mindfulness where you get to become the teachers to share with our youngest students here in the district. So let this story, again, inspire you to create your own movement and mindfulness story. So again, the book that I'm going to read is called Zoo Zen. And as I read each page, first I'll read it, then I'll do the pose, and then when you hear the sound of the bell, we'd always come back to sit crisscross applesauce. So that's how we'll know when the movement is over for that particular page, and then we're ready in our easy seat, our crisscross applesauce, to use our mindful listening, to use our ears to hear the next part of the story. And it's also helpful if you have your blocks around, because we can also add the blocks to the poses. Again, you can get creative and use pillows or blankets as well. You can, again, make it your own practice. And before we start our story time yoga, we are going to take a few deep breaths. So wherever you are, let's just tune into our heart. Again, this connects us to self-awareness and to self-management. So find yourself in a comfortable seat. And you can either keep your hands on your lap, hands at your heart, hands, one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. Again, whatever makes you feel good. You can also do a mudra. So if you remember from previous lessons where we learned the inner rainbow supercolors, the chakras that are connected to our mudras, which are red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and purple. So feel free if you want to keep your hands in a mudra as we start to tune into our breath as we breathe in and breathe out. So finding yourself in a comfortable space as we breathe in and breathe out as we put our listening ears on. So again, we can start to hear clearly. And when we mindfully listen, this not only helps us to tune into the sounds around us, the external sounds, but it also helps us to tune into the internal sounds of what our body is telling us. So if anything is tight or hurts you, go easy on yourself. Right? Don't push yourself. So just make this your practice today as we listen to our yoga story called Zoo Zen. And the word Zen means peace. It means calm. So we're going to find our Zen today with the story. And it brings to life all the different animal poses. So here we go. And again, as we go through the movement and I read the story, start to think how you can create your own yoga story for the preschoolers and the kindergartners here in Long Branch. Zoo Zen, a yoga story for kids. I'm just going to take the cover off because it's going to get in the way. Oh, and Lily, my dog Lily wants to hear the story. She knows it's with the animals. Okay, well, let's come sit over here. She loves to be on Zoom too. Lil, over here. Come have a seat. Okay. Zoo Zen. Oh, well, there's nothing in here. All right. Lila is ready to try something new. Can she learn yoga from friends at the zoo? So if you were reading this to younger kids, I usually would point out in the story, what animals do you see? So again, you could think about that as you start your story. So just by looking at the picture, certain animals that I see are the flamingo, a lion, a snake, a crocodile, a dolphin, an eagle, a frog, a camel, a bear, a gorilla, an alligator, or a crocodile. You could also ask, what colors do you see? What things do you see that are in nature? So you can start, more awareness just by looking at what's on the page, because sometimes we read stories really quickly and we don't even notice the beautiful artwork. So just, again, take a moment, notice what you see, because again, the story is going to be based around the zoo to find our Zen. She rolls out her mat, puts on yoga pants to pose like the creatures and mimic each stance. One balancing bear grabs onto his feet. Lila grabs also and lifts from her seat. So bear is the first pose that we're going to do today. So I'm going to show you first, and then you can play along with me. And you can always add or take away from the pose as well to make it work best for your body. So our first pose is the bear pose. So bear can be a combination of boat pose. So you can start your bear by bringing your feet to the ground, hug your knees, lift your toes. Maybe that's your bear today. Or you're going to start to reach for the edges of your feet. And then you start to straighten out your toes and then breathe here in your bear pose. Again, doing what feels best for you, for your body in this moment. So breathing in, breathing out. Another way to hold onto your feet is to make the peace sign fingers, and you put them together and hook them around your big toes, just like that. And then you can also balance in your bear pose, just like this, getting connected with your big toes. So again, your choice for your bear pose. And if it's hard to balance just like this, you can bring the feet back together, the knees back together. You can also try bear on your back. By coming onto your back, hug your knees just like this, and then maybe you rock gently from side to side. Happy baby pose is another way you could do bear pose, by again grabbing for the edges of your feet, and then you can gently rock from side to side. So think of a baby, how it explores and finds its feet and its toes. So you can also do a bear on your back. So try out your bear pose, make it yours. Maybe your bear is totally different, and that's okay. Again, yoga is all about tuning into your creativity to make it your own. So again, maybe you'll look like the bear and Lila, or maybe you get creative and make it look exactly like you. So take a few more moments to practice your bear. I'm sure you're all amazing. Awesome, everyone. And that's the sound of our bell, so that tunes us in to come back to crisscross applesauce. Again, remember, yoga is a practice, so it's not yoga perfect, so you can always come back to that pose later. So crisscross applesauce, have our listening ears ready for the next pose. In the cobra pit, two snakes glide around. She slithers and wiggles all over the ground. Keep your hands under your shoulders. So we're going to do the cobra pose, the snake pose. So cobra pose can look like this, or it can also look like an upward facing dog as well. So now I'm going to show you how to do the pose, and then you can get creative with it. So with cobra, we come onto our belly, stretch your legs out long, bring your palms right underneath your shoulders, breathe in and lift up, look up, smile. Maybe you add your lion's breath, or you stick out your tongue, go, or the upper dog, you're gonna lift your thighs off the mat and breathe in, stretch your heart. So right now, try out your cobra, be your own cobra, whether you're a high cobra, a low cobra, whatever feels good for you. Good job, everyone. And then when we hear the sound of the bell, we're all gonna come back to crisscross applesauce. So we're ready for the next page. 3 eagles gaze on, Lila glances up high, twisted yet steady, she's ready to fly. And then it says, hook one foot behind your calf if you can. So eagle pose is a balancing pose. And it also strengthens our brain power. So I'm gonna show you a couple different ways to try out the eagle pose. And then again, try it out and see what works best for you. So with eagle, I'm going to stand in a mountain pose. And it helps if you keep your eye on something that's not moving. So a spot on the floor or a picture on the wall. And then we're gonna reach our arms up to the sky. We're gonna bend our knees so we're in chair pose. And then I'm gonna slowly start to lift my left foot up top and hook my left knee on top of my right. Maybe I stay here, maybe my foot wraps around my calf. And then if I want, I can bring my hands to my hips. Or the full eagle, I'm gonna wrap my right arm on top of my left and then come to my eagle pose just like this. So a lot of balancing here going on. This crosses the midline of our brain, and that strengthens our brain power. And if this is too much, you could always crisscross your arms on your shoulders. Or you can come to a half chair pose or number 4, where instead of putting your knee on top of your knee, you'd still be in your chair pose, but you're gonna take your left ankle to your right knee and then reach and stretch your arms. Maybe your hands come to your heart, to your hips, out wide, all right? So this is also an eagle variation, all right? So do what feels best for you. And then be sure you do both sides. So play with it on one side and then shake it out. Come back to your mountain, stretch the arms up, pretend you're sitting in the chair pose, and then the other side, lift your right foot up, right knee on top of your left knee, pretend like you're sitting in a chair, and then left arm on top of your right arm, crisscrossing the arms, and breathe here. Or maybe again, your foot wraps around. Again, everyone's different, so do what feels right for you. Or again, you can do your ankle to knee, half chair, number 4, eagle pose. So maybe you add in some eagle arms, and eagles have really good focus with their eyes. So really tune in onto, something on the floor, on the wall, because this also clears out our mind. This helps sharpen our brain power, our focus, and even our memory. So eagle is a great balancing pose to do. So try it out. See what works best for you. Again, flying like an eagle. And then, nice and gently, we're gonna fly back down to the ground. Awesome job, everyone. Back to our crisscross applesauce. And our next pose is the lion. Lions stalk and they prowl. In this pride there are 4. Hands pressed to her knees. Lila bellows a roar. So she's doing her lion pose with her lion's breath. And if you have your blanket, you can always put the blanket underneath your knees. But you can do this a couple different ways. You can sit back on your heels and then bring your hands to your knees and stick out your tongue, go just like that. Or if you have your blocks around, you could also connect them together like this. Put your knees on the blocks and then again, hands on your knees, breathe in, breathe out, roar like a lion. Or you can simply sit crisscross applesauce and again, let it all roar. Right? Feeling strong in your body, strong in your mind, because we're not just long branch, we are strong branch. So try out those lions, let it roar, clear out those clouds, feel your strength, feel your power. Awesome. And then back to our crisscross applesauce for the next page. Gorgeous, everyone. 5 camels with humps want her to bend back. She grips onto her heels. Now she's got the knack. So relax your neck. So now we are going to try the camel pose. And camel is an intense back bend, so we want to keep it simple. And again, I'm going to show you a couple different ways to try your camel pose. So with my camel, I can come onto my knees and either have the tops of my feet on the ground or I can curl my toes. A simple camel is I'm just going to bring my hands to my hips, breathe in and look up, puff up my heart, and this can be my simple camel pose. Or I can take my hands and place them on my lower back with my fingertips facing down, breathe in again, open up my heart, open up my shoulders as I breathe in and look up, again to feel my heart open in my camel pose. Another way to do camel using your blocks the vertical way, you can use them and bring them behind your toes. Breathe here, press your hips forward, and then this can be your camel pose. Or if you have the flexibility, reaching for the heels, the back of the feet, and then breathe in and feel your camel this way. So again, this can be really intense. That's why the blocks are helpful. Or again, keep it simple, hands to your hips, puff up the heart. Or maybe you think of camel in a different way. So creating your own camel pose as you breathe in and breathe out. Opening up your heart, opens up the shoulders, clears out the mind. Awesome, everyone. And then we'll all come back to crisscross applesauce. Like 6 crocodiles perched on their claws, she's on her tummy and makes time to pause. So now we're going to turn into a calm, cool crocodile. And again, this connects us to our breath because we're going to feel our belly rise and fall on the ground. It's also a very calming and soothing pose because again, it connects us to the earth. So if we're getting overheated or hot during the summertime weather, this is a great pose to calm and cool the body. So we're going to try out our crocodile pose by simply coming onto the ground, laying on your belly, and then you're going to make a little pillow with your elbows. So you can stack your elbows on top of elbows and then either bring your forehead to rest on your pillow and your pillow arms, or you can have your head just gently rest on the ground, or bring one ear to one side and smile as you breathe in and breathe out. Also stretches out your neck. And then you could turn to the other side as you breathe in and breathe out. If you wanted to add a crocodile tail, you can bend your knees here, flex your toes, and then you can rock from side to side. That's also a nice way to create some movements in the hips. Or again, you can go in opposite directions, like you're clapping your feet. Again, whatever feels good for you, you can move your feet up and down as well. So however you'd like to be a crocodile, we'll take a few moments here to notice your belly rise and fall, feel the connection of the earth, feeling so supported, so calm and cool in our crocodile pose. Breathing in and breathing out, feeling so calm, so cool. And then we'll all come back to crisscross applesauce for the next page. 7 dolphins arrive and swim close to her mat, raising her bottom. Her forearms stay flat. So we're about to do a dolphin. And as you can see, there are so many different kinds of dolphins right in the story. So again, using your own creativity, your own individuality for self-expression. Dolphin pose starts in a downward dog. So we're going to do our downward dog first and then come into our dolphin pose. And again, make your own dolphin as well. Move like you, swim like you. So dolphin pose. I'm going to come into a downward facing dog. My palms are nice and wide, just like this. And I could start out in my downward dog by lifting my heels up, lifting my heels down. I can reach and stretch one leg up to the sky and put that leg down and reach and stretch my other leg up to the sky. All right, lots of different ways. You can even turn your toes from side to side, whatever feels good for you. Now, to make it into a dolphin, we're gonna bring our elbows, our forearms to the ground. And here you have your dolphin pose. Allow the head to hang. You're not on your head. You're still letting your neck and your head hang here. And then I can get fancy with my dolphin. I can reach and stretch my leg up. Maybe I make my knee come out to the side. Again, reach it back up and down. Other leg, reach and stretch up. Bring my knee out and then back down. So again, being your own dolphin here for your pose. And if that's too much, you can always come to a downward dog. You can also use your blocks. So if you bring both palms to each block, you can also do your downward dog first like this, and then bring your elbows onto the blocks. And then either you tense your fingertips or just let your hands just hang out. So you can also play with your dolphin with using your blocks. You can also stack the blocks and put them on your back. So when you're in your downward dog, before you come into your dolphin, you can place one. And sometimes it's helpful to have someone help you, but I'm gonna just try on my own here. All right, and then I have to be so still to slowly start to bring my elbows to the ground in my balancing. Oops, and even if it was just for a minute, see, it happens even to me too. So try it out, play with it. Sometimes maybe just one block will have a little bit more balance there than two, or maybe use a pillow or a stuffed animal. So play with your dolphin. Awesome job, Green Wave. And then we'll all come back to our seats, crisscross applesauce for our next pose. 8, gorilla screech. Lila folds in half, clasps her hands under feet, and lets out a laugh. It's okay to bend your knees. So we're gonna turn into our gorilla pose. And there's also a couple different ways you can do the gorilla. All right, so let's check it out. So with your gorilla, you'll start in a mountain, reach your arms up to the sky, and then you're gonna forward fold, shaking your arms from side to side. Maybe you bend your knees, maybe you move your feet apart. You could also box your elbows and let your head hang here. Or using your blocks, you can simply bring your hands to your blocks as you breathe here in a forward fold. So in a supported gorilla pose as you breathe in and breathe out. Another way is to take your hands under your feet. So your toes come right in your wrist crease. And then you breathe here. So this is another way. It also stretches out our hands that we can be a gorilla. Maybe you bend your knees a little bit. Again, doing what feels good for you in your gorilla pose. Again, maybe it's more movement. You could walk back on your mat. You can walk forward. Walk from side to side too. So you can add in some movement to your gorillas and breathe, let it out, maybe make some noises. And then we're back to crisscross applesauce for our next pose. 9 scaly lizards climb onto a stone. Her leg is a tail. She's only just grown. So lizard pose, this can be an intense hip opener pose. So we'll take it one step at a time. And again, we'll use our blocks for support and for, to help us. All right, and as you can see, there's all different kinds of lizards too. So we wanna put in our own creativity to make it our own. So with lizard pose, we're gonna start in a low lunge. So you decide what leg you want to put forward. So I'm going to step my right foot forward and my left foot back. So maybe my lizard pose could just be here, like a little low lunge. Or I'm going to bring both my hands inside my right foot. So they're right by my right foot. And this can be my lizard pose. I can also use the blocks and walk my right foot out a little bit so you have a wider stance and then breathe here. I can also go all the way onto my elbows with the blocks or no blocks at all. So again, to show you on the other side, you'll step the other foot forward. Your other knee can be on the ground. Maybe this is your lizard. or you can bring your elbows, and again, walking your foot out so you have some room, walking your elbows onto your blocks like this, or all the way onto the ground, or simply a nice simple lizard can be this too. Maybe reaching the arms up as well. So right now, be your own lizard. Maybe your foot is the tail and you lift your foot up too. You can get creative in your lizard pose. And again, use the props for support. They're really helpful to get into shapes that are a little bit more of a challenge, a little bit more, tight to get ourselves into. So try out your own lizard. Maybe add a lizard breath to it too. Maybe it's a, or, make it your own as you breathe in and breathe out. And be sure you do both sides. So your left side and your right side, because we want to stay balanced. And we'll come back to crisscross applesauce to hear our next page. "10 frogs by a pond, some hip and some hop. She stretches out wide, her arms are the prop." So, a couple different ways to be a frog. As you can see, there's all different types of frogs. You can either be, so Lila's doing frog on a rock, but it's much easier to do a half frog on a rock than use both knees. All right, so I'll show you the frog on a rock, and again, you would do both sides of the pose. So once again, I'm gonna come all the way onto my belly. I'm gonna make my elbows come out so I look like a cactus tree, and then I'm gonna bring my knee by my elbow and then bring my head to one side. So this is my frog on a rock. Again, this connects my head to my heart. It connects my breath to the ground as I breathe in and breathe out. This helps to balance the body, balance the mind. And then I would switch sides. Other leg, the both legs come back together. Other knee by your elbow, look to the other side as you are a frog, relaxing on a rock. So again, doing what feels best for you. That's frog on a rock. Or you could be a frog on a lily pad. So you come to a squat, you turn out your toes as much as you can, come down to a squat, hands on the ground, and then pretend like your yoga mat's a lily pad, and then breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Maybe you ribbit. This is also a really energizing pose. So whatever kind of frog you feel like, if you need more energy, do the hopping one. Or if you need to calm your energy, you can do the frog on a rock, relaxing your body, relaxing your mind. So be your own frog, maybe add in some rivets, whatever works for you, as you breathe in and breathe out in your frog hops. And then we'll come back to center, crisscross applesauce. Remember to breathe, use only your nose, inhale and exhale, stay calm in each pose. So use yoga when you want to calm down and feel strong. So the last pose is the flamingo, but we're gonna turn it into a tree pose. All right, so again, this one you do on both sides. It's a balancing pose. Make sure we keep our eye on something that's not moving. And I start in my mountain, and then I can lift one foot up. Maybe this is my tree or flamingo. I could be a kickstand tree, hands on my hips, cactus tree, my foot goes a little higher. We just never want to put our foot on our knee. Maybe our foot goes higher. Be your own tree, either reaching the arms up, letter T, maybe a dab, or whatever feels good for you. Again, you could do those mudras, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, purple, or maybe you come on your tippy toes for a breath. But be your own tree, be your own flamingo, and get creative with it to find your balance for our last pose of the story. All right, be sure you're doing both sides. And then we'll all come back to crisscross applesauce. Always be present right here and right now. Show that you're thankful. Conclude with a bow. So in yoga, we say namaste. So when you bring your hands to your heart, it connects the right side to the left side. And the word namaste in Sanskrit, the yoga language, means the sunshine in me honors the sunshine in you, meaning I see you because you are me. We are the same. So as we conclude our practice with a bow. And then the next page in the story, it showed us Lila's yoga flow. So it also explains each pose that we did throughout the whole story. So that's another cool thing to this book, is that all of these poses that we did, it's all right here. So if you didn't have time to read the whole story, you could just go through the flow of the movement of the poses. So again, that's one way you can, do the story. You could also just read the story through first and then do all the movement. But I broke up the story by reading it, and then I used a tool such as the singing bowl to signal when it was time to come back for using our mindful listening to hear the next part of the story. So you can get creative as you'd like as you write your own yoga story. You can have as many poses as you want. Maybe you start small with 5 poses for your story. If you think you can do 10, amazing. But think of your audience, think of the preschool, think of that age group, they like to use animal sounds, colors. So get creative, use your imagination. Remember when you were in preschool or in kindergarten and the stories you'd like. You can even take a story, for example, Goodnight Moon or any Dr. Seuss stories, and you could create the poses based on the story that's already written as well. So maybe you create poses based on, the story, and then film yourself doing the poses with the book, like I did, how I read the page, and then maybe you use a bell to signal when you're gonna read again, or maybe you clap your hands or do to signal, that it's time to come back to refocus, recenter. So again, you could also do that. You don't have to write a story. You could find your favorite story that you have already, or, look online. Sometimes you can do free e-downloads for books for if you have, a tablet or a device that you do your reading on. But look around your house, see if you have some storybooks or even picture books that you can bring to life through the movement of the poses. And then after you make your video, you can, if you have a YouTube account, upload it there, or you can share it with me in our Google Classroom. So make sure you join the Google Classroom. You can find that on the 21st Century website there on my yoga page. You can click that link, and then it'll explain how to, access the Google Classroom. So we can share it there. And then again, if you would like it to be shared with the younger green wave yogis, that will be so cool that you get to be the teachers to share your practice with the youngest of our district. So that's your yoga assignment with this video. So again, this book, Zuzan, it's meant for younger kids. We're grades 3 through 5, so this was a pretty much easy story for us. But using this as a model, using this as a tool to see how we can take books and create movement to them to share it with, the younger kids. So it's a great way to share our yoga practice, to build community, because that's what yoga is all about. Sharing is caring. So I hope you enjoyed the story, and I can't wait to see what you create. So also, if you don't feel comfortable on screen doing a video, you could also write out the poses in a Google Doc, or write it down, on pen and paper, and then take a picture of it and share it in the classroom. Or draw the poses too. If you're a great artist, I know we have so many great artists in the house every day on Zoom when you share your work. It's so cool. So you could also draw the poses and create a story with that. Or you could even take a picture of yourself in each pose and then write the story with you as, the star of the story. So just to give you some other ideas if you're not sure, again, use what you have, get creative, get inspired, again, to share our yoga stories through mindfulness and movement. So thank you so much, Green Wave. I can't wait to see what you create. Have a wonderful Green Wave day. Namaste.